I'm gonna record this just so that you have it for like if you want to look back, review, anything like that.
That way, if I don't get all my notes taken, I can go back and see what I didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it for the most part, it should be the first session, because there are so many notes that go with it, because I have like a pointed list of questions for this particular session. It ends up being pretty extensive. So you may not have to worry about it so much for this one. Now with this session, so this one is mostly kind of starting to work on skill set and ideal customer. And then that kind of will lead us into everything else, basically, because those two things really just set the groundwork for everything that we would do later on. I think I had a client, I don't think she expected it to be, I think she expected me to give her like a list of actions of things that she needed to do right after our first session. And I mean, there's a little bit, but not a ton. Because it's really just starting to kind of wrap your mind around kind of like your purpose and all of that kind of stuff. So that's just my disclaimer for the beginning.
That works.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull up my thing that's got all my questions in it. All right, so the first question I'm gonna ask is, what do you feel like some of your strengths are? And they can be strengths as related to business or not. It doesn't matter.
Strengths. Well, part of that is knowledge. Part of that is knowing some of the details of what I want to teach others.
Right.
That's a primary. Equipment. Well, I mean, that's goes along with knowledge. So
sure.
So having that knowledge, that's a strength.
Right.
And then motivation.
Oh, good.
Trying to be positive.
I'm making notes, that's why I'm not looking at the camera about
it. Yeah. Mine's drawing a blank.
I know this is a really hard one. I usually start with like, this is the hardest question, and everyone likes to tell me what they're not good at. And it's like, whoa, that's not what I am.
No. I'd say being meticulous regarding my notes.
Okay.
I'm very specific when I'm crafting.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
You think so?
So that's a strength.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm not, then I frustrate myself. If I don't have all my details in a row.
Okay.
So
would you say you're a planner also?
I try to be. I try to be. I have when I used to podcast weekly, I was like a planner up to 4 weeks at a time.
Okay.
So
are you a planner in other areas of your life?
Yeah, I'd say I am. Yeah, definitely. I like to be able to have an idea of what's going on, and like Haley has a fashion show coming up on the 23rd, and she's in a fashion show. It's for the Durham History Society or something for Omaha, and she gets to wear garb from the 20s.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I'm going, and the lady that's hosting the event, she's like, is your husband gonna mind that there's gonna be all these ladies there? I said, I I heard Haley's conversation with her and I'm like, no, I'm around ladies all the time. Like, it's not gonna bother me at all. So I support is a big thing for
Okay.
me as a strength.
Okay.
Being able to support those. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm gonna call that good.
Okay. Well, there's one, and I'm sorry. I think I have bronchitis, so I have this
I'm
really
sorry.
disgusting cough. So I apologize when that will inevitably come in. But the one thing, based on our conversation that we had previously, I would say also too, and you tell me if you think this is right. Like, you're very willing to learn new things.
Hmm.
Okay. That's huge. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So, excuse me. Let's talk about the flip side of the coin, which I don't use the word weakness. I don't like the word weakness. So, because I very much believe in growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Are you familiar with that?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. So it's basically like fixed mindset is like, I'm not good at this. Whereas growth mindset is like, I'm like currently not very good at it, but I
Hmm.
could get better. Right. So
Yep.
not just automatically assuming you're terrible at something. So that being said, what are some things that you don't feel are necessarily in your wheelhouse that are things that you wish you had in your wheelhouse or that you want to be able to grow at in the future?
Understanding certain technology in the field that I
Okay.
want to practice in, which is podcasting. So,
Right. Okay.
did you hear that?
Yeah, a little squeak.
Yeah, that's Molly's flamingo. Haley stepped on it. So, okay. So, growth mindset, something I need to learn or do better
Or
at.
like something like that you're just kind of like, oh, this is something I'm just like not very good at, but like I wish I was better at it. And that can be literally anything. I mean, whether that's just a matter of like organization versus, which doesn't sound like it's your issue, but
well, it can be. I'm gonna write it down because
okay.
I have some issues. I used to be really, really organized. I've gotten less over the years,
Sure.
just because of either jobs or the way I do things, and being able to try to live up to what I say I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm not sure what to call that.
Accountability, maybe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, that can be a tricky one, especially when it's when so much stuff now is done online. It's so much easier to just kind of be like, well, I'm just not going to do that thing anymore, or
Mm-hmm.
find a way to back off of something. Versus, I feel like when we have more obligations in person, we're more likely to have more follow through.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not the only person on the planet who has. I mean, I've struggled with this myself, having that kind of accountability. But there are ways around it for sure.
Yeah. Another thing that I probably need to work on is like relationships,
Okay.
building them
Okay.
better. Because I think I could do better at that.
Okay. Do you know like kind of what areas you feel like you might have gaps in?
Yeah, I'd say giving people their space.
Okay.
Because I don't want to come on too strong
Okay.
for, and it's probably my own inner flaw of like, am I bothering them? You know, this is
Yeah.
important. This is important to me, but I know they have lives, you know. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, where is the balance? You know,
Right.
where do I find that balance between giving them their space, but still checking up on them, saying,
Yeah.
hey, you know, we talked about this last time. Have you made any progress toward that? Or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that is part of, coaching in general. I mean, you do have to be kind of checking up on your people because that's what they want you for. So
Mhm.
a lot of times, you can give, like the way that I work it, and you'll probably hear me say this anyway, so I'll just say it to you now. So like I do the weekly Sunday check-ins, and I do them with Haley too. Like she gets those emails.
Mhm.
And Haley is somebody who responds every single week, usually just once, sometimes twice. I don't think she ever doesn't respond. But then I have some people who don't say anything. Like I've given away free email coaching to people who didn't even take me up on it whatsoever, like nothing. And then I have had some people who get really excited about it and email me like 5 times a week. So like it's just kind of, I always give that space of, you and you specifically have that ability to decide how much you want to engage with it. If you find it helpful, great. Like, let's talk, and we can talk as much as you want or as little as you want. But if it's not helpful to you, then you're free to ignore it. But I'm still going to check on you every Sunday.
No, I appreciate that.
So, I mean, even the people who don't respond, it's like, I still check every Sunday. It's like, I haven't heard from you, but I just want to make sure you're okay. And I've only been ghosted once. So, I mean, and it's fine. I checked in on her. She's alive. So that's all that matters.
Well, I even though I'm not getting anything from this person or anything, it's just, like a free client, basically, like a practice,
yeah,
like a practice client.
right.
And I've like, I checked on her a few times and then I stopped because she was having life issues and
Yeah.
I think she was having a baby or something. And then there was all this stuff at her home and everything. And I'm like, I'm going to back off for a while.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll check on her maybe like next week or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I haven't checked on her because she had life things. And it's like life things sometimes take a while to
Yeah.
balance out.
They do.
So
yeah. And you can always offer that of, like when you're ready, just just find me, like, and then they can kind of have that, that open door kind of policy. But yeah, I mean, that's good insight. I think that, especially babies, man, they mess you up. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that you kind of learn to feel. It's a little harder sometimes with the internet. You can't always tell, but like, at least you're trying to have that empathy and like trying to recognize cues. And I think that's that's probably like 80% of the work. Whereas most people probably don't really think that intuitively. So I'd say you're probably on a good path there.
Like balance, like having that balance to know, okay, I haven't checked on this person in a while. I need to check on them now.
Yeah.
To see how they're going, or to see what's going on with their life and see if they're ready for the next step or something.
Exactly. And I mean, and if they don't respond, That's about the worst that can happen. I mean, it's not like you're sending them an email and saying like, hey, I like come buy a $6,000 package for me or something, that would be different. But if you're just, and you'll notice too, I'm sure you'll notice that people who don't pay for things, even though like that's what we need to do in the beginning for most things, they're going to be the ones who usually don't put in as much work as the people who do pay. And so like the people who have, like the person who ghosted me, like she got one session, she paid for her session, but then she had 2 more and she just disappeared off the face of the earth. And that's okay. It's not a big deal. But but I think because she had at that point had a very discounted rate, like very, very, very discounted because I was brand new. So like, I think that it just wasn't as important to her. Versus like, but like Haley was a different example. Like she's an example of somebody who took the value of it and has made something of it. So you have those juxtapositions. But yeah, the people who I discount for, I notice, or which I don't do anymore, but when I was doing that, or the people who I would give things for free or whatever. Like there is something to be said for like, people care about what they pay for. And I mean, it's true for me too. Like I care about the stuff that I actually invested money in versus the stuff I didn't. So anyway,
I think another thing for me is being able to, one of the flaws I can tell with myself is trying to figure out like what materials or what material I can provide to a client that's free but can grab them.
Okay, so like lead magnets and stuff.
Yeah, like a lead magnet, something like that, because it's like I'm having difficulty because I mean, honestly, this is the hardest thing is like with podcasting, they have all these master classes and all these how to podcast and marketing and everything. And the problem with those is that right up front, they are having like charging an exorbitant price for what they're offering. And it's like, yes, so this is your masterclass program. However, not everybody's going to be able to afford those giant packages. Maybe it's better if you narrow it down and have smaller packages that are more affordable to people to where they aren't as fearful to come to that person for advice.
Sure.
Because it's like, how can these people be approachable if all they're doing is offering, these courses and that's all? It's like, where's the human interaction? Where's the benefit from that? And I don't want to fall into that category of being that person that just offers all this content at a high price and no follow-up.
Yeah. And there's I have a couple thoughts on that. So first of all, I mean, like the way that the world works now is that, the best way that you can build is by offering so much for free, like so much stuff for free. And then like your best work or your most interactive stuff is the stuff they pay for. Like most of the stuff that like you and I would talk about, I've probably mentioned it on Instagram or talked about it in like a quick way or wrote a blog post or something. But number one, like I don't go as in depth as I do like on these sessions. And then you don't get that personalized to your particular issue thing. So that's kind of what you can start thinking about. Like what is some more generic stuff that you could start thinking of lead magnet wise? I know we're kind of getting out of my line of questions, but we'll go back into them. And if we need to, I'll stick them in an email. I don't mind. But, but anyway, so that's what I would think is just kind of what stuff are people needing that would be relatively easy, wouldn't take a ton of your energy because you have to conserve your energy and, you really should charge for the stuff that's high energy versus the quick, low energy stuff. Yeah, so thinking of things like that, even like lists, like something that I personally as a podcaster would have loved and probably can find if I honestly look for it, but I didn't, I was just lazy. Like a list of like the best budget microphones to start with podcasting. So yeah, like exactly. So I ended up buying one, but I just like went on Amazon and I just like, picked one that was like relatively low price and had good reviews. But as somebody with your like expertise, that would be something that I think people would like. And you could use that, something like that, as a lead magnet, just like, oh, okay, you give me your email address and I give you this list of microphones or whatever, whether it's microphones or
because there's a wide range. Like they
right.
range all the way up to thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So then you could offer all of those options,
Yeah.
like if your budget is this, if your budget is this, if your budget is that. I mean, it could be pretty comprehensive and could be nice. I mean, you could do it as a blog post too, or something like that. I don't know if you end up wanting to blog. We'll talk about that later. But you know what I mean? So
but getting back to, what you were talking about with flaws, because that was one of the things that I was thinking about, was a flaw that I want to correct, something to grow at. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think some of the stuff honestly is, and most things in life, as somebody who believes in growth mindset, are things that are just muscles that need to be flexed. So like the more like you make your first lead magnet, and then all of a sudden your mind just starts automatically going, well, that could be a lead magnet, or that could be good value, or I could start offering my customers or my potential clients this, or here's an idea for a paid offering or whatever. And I mean, it will grow with you. I do believe. The other note I want to make about people who do charge a lot is that sometimes if people get really overwhelmed with clients, then they end up having to increase prices and cut back on their workload just to make it work for them. So there's some reason, there's got to be something that person has built in their business that is causing people to say, I'm willing to spend this huge amount on like a podcasting program or whatever. So there's something with that. I don't think it's always negative. I mean, obviously, yes, there are certain things out there. You're just like, really, you're going to charge it? Like, for example, have you ever heard of like law of attraction, manifesting, The Secret, right? There are people who coach on that. And it's like, all right, that's an intangible I can't really get behind, even though I love to talk about manifesting. And I think it's like, I think there could be something to it. But I don't, like, I wouldn't charge anybody to tell them that. I would just, you can go watch The Secret. There you go. Anyway, so that's just my last note on that. Okay. So then just kind of, you want to be able then to provide value in a way that doesn't alienate people. Okay.
Because it happens. And like, there's been two different ones. There's one called How to Podcast, or it's just called like How to Podcast.
Okay.
And then another one's like Podcast Connection or something.
Okay.
And they both offer programs. And yet through both of those groups of people, I have found people potentially asking for help, and they weren't getting any responses from the people that were providing those programs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, well, I know about this. Do you have a few minutes? We could talk on Zoom,
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, I have a potential client.
Yeah. Okay. So I see what you're saying is that basically kind of going into spaces where there is like no support and just kind of, I mean, I don't want to use the word coaching, but it is a little bit kind of, I mean, I understand it and I respect it. But like basically you're filling a need that they had that they're not getting from the person they actually handed money to. So, okay. That makes sense to me. Okay. So third question.
Okay.
Now, specifically here, let's talk about just business overall. What are some things some parts of business having a business that you feel you would enjoy?
Being able to do the actual like work ahead of time
Okay.
to then provide that information through video conferencing or through an email directly to the person,
Okay.
and having that interaction.
Okay.
I think I enjoy that. I mean, I enjoy making my notes for my podcasts.
Good.
I'm currently working on, well, I have 3 sets of notes that I'm working on at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I have a podcast that I'm doing with Eric Woods on Aliens,
Oh, really?
the movie. I haven't,
Oh, that's
we
so great.
we haven't actually done it yet,
Yeah.
but I'm getting the notes together so that
Sure.
way we can collaborate. And he's talked about different cues that he wants to bring up, and I have a list of which ones I really want to cover, and then so I'm gonna use the ones that he's listed and be like, okay, so this can be replaced with this, so that way his points are covered as well as
Yeah.
my points. And so that's a note that is really beneficial to me,
Okay.
because we get that collaboration. We talk back and forth about our notes, about what we want to discuss. And he
Right.
sent me a video link that I still need to watch because I want to learn more about it. So that way I have some background on what he sent me. So that way we can discuss it on the actual podcast. So,
Sure. Sure. Cool. Very cool.
but that's an example.
Sure.
Being able to take that time and do the work. I don't mind doing the work.
Yeah.
And
It's good.
then giving people homework, I think I have a hard time with,
Okay.
but I need to work on it better.
Okay.
Like, I think, because it's like then not giving them so much. Because this one lady, I asked her specific questions and was like, okay, so what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And it's
Mhm.
like, maybe that was too much to ask.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I mean, you can always ask that too.
mhm,
That's one thing that I sometimes do the same. We're going through it and I'm going, okay, this entire session is me giving you homework. So, ooh, sorry. But the homework is what most people want, right? They want that
mhm,
conversation. They want the homework so that they can go away and do the work because you're only there to help them facilitate doing the work. They still have to do
mhm.
that. You're just there as the support system, basically. Okay. Other things that you would enjoy. Do you enjoy doing social media stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I enjoy designing through Canva. That's fun.
Oh, yes.
I love designing through Canva. That's fun. And
So
then,
fun.
yeah, I enjoy the creative side of things.
Okay.
I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing that type of work. I wouldn't mind doing, like, I don't know, maybe kind of tutorial videos, I guess.
Okay.
Giving them that extra information of, how to do certain things. I don't know.
Okay.
Because I'd have my notes right there. So I know what I'd be writing, be telling them, but also not be focusing on my notes, but trying to,
Pre-flow a little.
mhm,
Okay. Okay. So what about um like newsletter marketing?
I've never done that.
Okay.
And that's a fear.
Okay.
I have a fear of it because I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
It's not that I can't learn. I want to learn how to do it.
Right.
That's
Do
the
you
thing.
like-
I
Do
want
you
to
like
know how to
writing?
do it. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'd actually like to write more.
Good. Good. That's great. Okay. So what about number stuff. Do you like number stuff? Do you like looking
I
at it?
hate numbers. I hate numbers.
That was so confident. I hate it.
Well, I've always hated math, but here's the weird part. I took a college course through Omaha Metro, and
Okay.
it was general math.
Okay.
I got the highest grade in that class because I took notes.
Oh.
I took notes and I followed the steps that the instructor provided us. And my instructor would actually photocopy my notes to give to other students because they had no notes and they didn't know how to do something.
Yeah, it seems like you should be getting paid for a lot of things.
But I hate math. I hate it. I do not like math because I stumble over it and I have a hard time. I can't do it fast. I'm
Okay.
not a fast thinker. I have to take my time to think about it because it's like these are numbers. I need to make sure they're not going to mess up, and that's maybe a fear of mine that I'm going to mess those numbers up.
Well, and
So,
I think that's really interesting because if you're a creative type, then messing up is subjective. You can't really tell, right? Like it's
yeah.
all in your perception of whether or not you messed up. But
Mhm.
numbers, that's a fact. Like that's objective. You
Yeah.
either failed or you didn't fail. So, or
Mhm.
you made it work or you didn't. So that's kind of interesting to me. But that's okay because I mean, apparently you're great at taking notes. So that's, I think that's kind of cool, actually. Like, I wish I had that ability because I'm also really bad at math, but I'm just bad at math. And I think I'm probably also bad at note taking. So there we go. All right. So that is there anything else that you can think of that you would either enjoy or not enjoy? Because we've kind of covered the both of those in that one bit of conversation.
I think trying to I'd like to be able to know how to like market better.
Okay.
That's something I want to know how to do better.
Okay.
I'm a little afraid of it in a way because I don't know much about it.
Sure.
I know about marketing in a way, but not to the extent I need to.
Right. Okay. That's good. That's exactly what I
Because social media marketing is one thing,
Yeah.
but regular marketing is another. So
It's true. There are some overlaps with it, but every type of marketing kind of has its own niche. But I mean, in general, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, you want people to know, like, and trust you, and that stays consistent across all channels of different types of marketing. It's just the matter of like how you get that across is what changes in those different spaces. So whether it's a billboard, I'm sorry, the colors are weird. My husband has a 4-monitor setup. Like he's a super nerd. And so like his screensaver is giving me all these weird colors. I don't know how to turn it. There's just too
that's
many
okay.
buttons. There's like
Don't
6
worry.
keyboards, 4 mice. I don't know what to do. So, okay.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I think that still like just kind of figuring out like how to communicate through different channels that you want to use, which is what we'll focus on kind of next time, will be beneficial. Okay, so I want to get into like your purpose. So I call it your why. And I always say there's 2 whys, right? Like you have your basically your intrinsic why. So why you would want to do this just for yourself. A lot of times that's more like selfish driven reasons, which is completely acceptable and normal. And I welcome them. So don't worry about saying, oh yeah, I'd like to make some money. Like, yeah, that's great. Cool. Like that's exactly what I want to know.
Mine's more specific than
Okay, go ahead. Tell me then.
Well, to me, I guess it comes down to making money,
Right.
but it comes down to making money for something that I enjoy talking about.
Okay.
Something I enjoy doing, something that I know how to do. I know those are 3 different things together, but they all apply to the same thing.
Yeah.
And another thing would be is getting out of the 9 to 5, not having to work for a corporate company.
Okay.
I'm tired of that. I'm really tired of having to be like driven to a certain direction, like you have to go this path, or this is the way we work things. And
Yeah.
it's like, but it doesn't work that way.
Okay. I think those are great reasons.
Okay. Because that's the main reasons why I want to do it, is to really get out of working a 9 to 5 and to be able to have the freedom to basically work wherever I want.
Yeah.
I mean, take my laptop, take my podcasting mic or something, with me wherever I'm at, and I can coach in Bermuda.
You could coach in Bermuda. I think that sounds great. Okay, so the next one is a little bit different. It's slightly more difficult. So let me try to explain it the best way that I can. So what I do is I like to look at, and what I think this is almost like the most important thing, which is why you do this for other people. And the reason that I say this, I sent Haley a video on it. I think she liked it, so I think I'll send it to you too. It's a video by Simon Sinek. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
He's like kind of a pseudo like motivational speaker. Like I've heard he just says a lot of like fluff stuff, but he's like very popular as a result.
Kind of like a TED Talk type.
Yes, he's
guy.
a TED Talk kind of guy. And
Okay.
he has a very big nose, and I love people with big noses, so I just really am drawn to him. So anyway, that's a joke. But I also do like this. So the one thing that he talks about that I think is just absolutely spot on is that when we have a business and somebody else is making a choice to buy from us, now we are driven by emotions when we make decisions, including purchase decisions. And that's nearly almost always exclusively what we're driven by, how something makes us feel. And so it works the same whether you're service-based or whether you're product-based. But the question is what do you want people to be able, this is a two-part question. So like, what do you want people to be able to feel when they are done working with you? Like, what is that emotion that you are providing? I mean, obviously you're not directly providing an emotion, but you are facilitating an emotion. And then what does working with you reaffirm to them about themselves? So my favorite example, I didn't bring my phone with me, but I have this special phone case. It's a pellet case. It's compostable. I can take it off when I'm done with it, and I can throw it out in my backyard, and within 6 months it'll be dust. Like, and I love that. I think that's very cool. So for me, when I buy something like that, I am reaffirming that I am eco-friendly. I'm a good steward of the planet. I may think something like I'm a good person, whatever that means. But in my mind, that might be the thing that comes up. So thinking kind of along those lines, because that's really like when you start to think about who you buy from and where you normally shop, like for non-essentials, even sometimes for essentials, like your choice of a grocery store versus like if you go to a Hy-Vee or you guys go to a whatever else you guys have. I don't know.
You go to Natural Grocers.
Yes. Okay. So, and I don't,
or Whole
I think
Foods,
you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys have Hy-Vees over there.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So that's an Iowa
They're
thing.
so expensive.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So like for me, so I'm from Iowa. I've always grown up with Hy-Vees. I'm in South Dakota now. We have one here, and we have a Walmart. So you have the choice of going to Walmart or Hy-Vee. Wherever I shop says something about me, right? Like, do I want to shop at Walmart where the prices are cheaper, but I know like conditions are poor? Or do I want to shop at Hy-Vee where I know they actually do take very good care of their employees, but the prices are significantly higher? So it's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just driving to Aldi because everything's flea market prices, and that's what I want. So anyway,
But they have organic produce at Aldi's too.
they are
So
doing they are just miles ahead of where they were when I like first started shopping there like 20 years ago. You know, like they are crazy good. So anyway, we just got one in Sioux City. My life has been made. Anyway, so that all being said, does that kind of give you an idea of what I'm asking you then?
yes. Yes.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
where do you want me to start
Wherever
with
you
that?
want, wherever.
Okay. So my why. Um, I told you one of my whys. This other why, the why that you asked me about, what do you want people to feel? I want them to feel confident and knowledgeable to actually perform their podcast in a professional way and an enjoyable way, not to be overburdened by not knowing what to do.
Okay.
That's one. I think that's an emotion. Like confidence can be part of an emotion, or it would be like having that kind of having the dopamine effect on our brains, being able to feel good for something that you've accomplished.
Yes.
Like being able to know, hey, I can do this. I can
Yes.
actually do this, and people will want to listen to me.
Yes. Yeah, I would say even like empowered is a good word for that too. To go
Yeah, that's a good word. Empowered. I like that word. It's also a word of a comic.
Okay.
I'm nerdy, so I think about those things.
That's okay. That's okay. I relate. I also watch Firefly. I know that's still kind of mainstream.
Then you need to watch Serenity.
I feel like maybe I did. Maybe it was just so long ago, but I wouldn't mind watching it. I wouldn't mind watching the whole darn thing again. I just love that show. Anyway, so all right.
And then what's the other one? What does working with me to affirm?
Yeah. So what does it affirm for them? Like what kind of a person does it say they are? Or what like characteristics will they believe about themselves for having worked with you? Does that make sense?
That they can be a better podcaster, that they can produce a show that is going to create numbers and make help people to listen to them, to make them feel better about themselves, that what they're actually doing is helping others or even teaching others to learn something new about themselves or about some subject that they're working on or whatever. Being able to have the right equipment to do the job, or not even a job, but doing a hobby, can be helpful, and then it can help them to grow as a business owner, even if that's one portion of your business is doing podcasting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I really,
such as yours.
yeah. Mine's terrible, but yes.
I haven't listened to yours. What is yours?
Oh God, I don't know if I want you to.
Well, I told you mine.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's the thing, is like it's called Making Magic. It's not, it's fine. It's and it's kind of hard to search. I haven't figured out the SEO for that either. So that's another thing that maybe podcasters would probably like to find out how to do, is kind of how to get visible, because like Anchor doesn't really do that. So I don't know. It's
Anchor doesn't
really help with SEO, or like, because like I don't come up with
it doesn't
search. So
it doesn't.
It
doesn't pull up on Google?
No, and that's because, okay, so it's kind of a generic name, but like what does come up is either some like Magic the Gathering podcasts, or there was this one that I think is called Making Magic, but it was like from pro wrestlers. So that one kind of overshadowed. I mean, I only have like 11 episodes, so I'm gonna have to like get into it for a while, I think, before I show up. But if you Google like my full name with it, yes, it shows up. But other than that, it doesn't. So, okay. So they are going to be able to reaffirm that they can be a better podcaster, that they are going to be able to help others and teach others, that they are, you know what, I think kind of throwing in some of this just would be like they are worth listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So, because
Yeah.
I think that you having that support for them will be really important for them to feel that, like, to feel like they're valuable.
And a big thing to me, I mean, this is probably a flaw in a way for me, because I have a personal problem with listening to podcasts that meander.
Oh, sure.
I hate meandering podcasts. Like I hate ones that have a subject, you know, for the title of their episode, but then when you're halfway in and they haven't even touched the subject, like, where is this thing going?
Yeah, I could see that. I don't do that. I don't think. Oh God. But yeah. I mean, I think just somebody feeling like, you know what, I have a valuable voice, you know, not physical voice, obviously, but like what I have to say matters, something like that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. Valuable voice. Yep.
I think that I think that that would be something based on our conversation that they would feel like, and that they're still worth listening to, even if they don't have huge capital startup.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the other thing, is like your other thing that you didn't even bring up, but you are so into accessibility, and that will be a big thing, because you are going to then basically tell people that you still have worth, even if you don't have money, you know, or like a lot of money, which a lot of people associate their worth with money. So if you are somebody who provides accessibility, then you can kind of quelch that a little bit, like kind of calm
Bring
that.
it in.
Yeah.
Oh, calm my stuff down, or
No, theirs, like they're
oh,
worried
there.
that, like,
Their worry. Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Calm the worry.
Yeah, so basically that if they are worried that, if they feel like they don't matter because they don't have money, then working with you and the support that you're going to give them at whatever price point you're going to give it to them, whether that's free or otherwise, is going to help them feel like, okay, so I am still valuable even though I don't have money.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right, that's really good. So the next thing now, some of it will be homework, just because
Okay.
of the time it is. We've got about 10 minutes here. So what it will be, and I will give you a list of questions,
I
basically.
like lists.
Yes. So I have this thing. It's really a thing of journaling prompts. Like journaling prompts is just like, I feel like it's a floofy way of saying here's some questions, but actually like write a decent answer. So it's really interesting. Me personally, like you are my first male client, which I've mentioned, but like, I feel like I need to change the way I say things so that, like, because a lot of ladies like real airy fairy stuff. And like, and I'm learning that like, I don't need to actually change the way that I say things, but like for some reason in my head, I feel like I need to. So that's
But
really,
you don't have to.
yeah, that's like an internal thing, nothing to do with you, but just an interesting observation. But the questions are basically, so they do, some of them cover what we've talked about already.
Okay.
But I pick out the most important ones to actually have a conversation, because a lot of these ones that we've talked about are going to be the building blocks for how we start to create everything, or how you start to create everything. And I kind of guide you to that process. But ideal customer is going to be a big thing. So it's going to go through some of the specifics. Now, one thing that I say is that there's lots of things out there that tell you that you should get like super specific, and then there's some people who are like, don't get specific at all. I'm pro specificity. I'll say that. The reason I'm pro specificity is because of social media, because of the way that everybody wants to know every little thing about us. And we effectively have to start learning every little thing about everybody who buys from us in a way that specificity will be so helpful. So if they have a dog or a cat, or they have like whatever, like a potbelly pig, like knowing that stuff is going to be helpful for the days that you have nothing to say on social media, but you want to provide some sort of value to your audience. And value doesn't always have to be surrounding your business. It can be, I mean, it should primarily be, but every once in a while you can throw something like random in there. So if they have a potbelly pig and you found a pig video, then you know, if you share that pig video, they're going to love it, you know? So, I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Like on Instagram, we have lots of ways to do that kind of stuff. It all depends on the platform. Like Twitter, maybe not so much, maybe a little bit, but like, or whatever you end up doing, which we'll talk more in depth on that next time. But pro specificity, but in general, have you, like, do you have somebody-ish in mind, whether that's someone you've worked with or even just like yourself at a previous point in your podcasting journey that you think of as maybe an ideal customer?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need me to be specific?
Well, you don't have to be super specific just because of the, well, I guess I should say, because do you have, no, give me a rough idea. Just tell me like roughly like what that person is like, what kind
rough
of
idea is wanting to do a podcast, but not really knowing where to start.
Okay.
And potentially, eventually making money from that podcast.
Okay.
That would be my ideal client.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be within my niche. It can be anywhere.
Okay.
Within the podcasting community.
Okay. So when you go through the questions that I'm going to send you, which there are multiple sections, but there is like specifically, I want you to do the ideal customer, but you can do all the others if you like. But I really want you to start trying to find one person.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean you have to exclude anybody. So like if you, like you're open to all niches, I know you're open to working with men and women because you've done both, but just pretend like you can't. Pretend like you have to choose one person and try to figure out the traits of that person or the type of podcast or whatever. And then you can start to figure out like some of the more specifics, like about where are you going to show up? What kind of help are they needing? Yada, 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 yada. Like what kind of content do they want to consume? How do they want to work with you? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And then like inevitably we flock other people are magnetized to us for some of the reasons that we do the things that we do. It's just that when we do our marketing, we're just thinking of that one person. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impossible to always just think of that one person. Like we don't always do that, but no. It's just kind of like it's a baseline exercise that I think is crucial to at least making sure that you're in the right spaces, making the right stuff, and being very focused with your energy so that you don't end up feeling burned out or spread out across like too thin.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay.
I can probably think of 2 people at the moment.
Okay, well that's good.
Down to 1.
Yeah, okay. So I'll send you the questions. I want you to fill them out. You can either hold on to them or and we can talk about them if you want to talk about them over the Zoom. If you don't want to talk about them over Zoom or it doesn't matter to you, you can just send them to me via email and we can kind of parlay a little bit about it. But so that's gonna be your homework, right? Your homework is ideal customer stuff.
All right.
And then based on your ideal customer stuff, I would like to see, I don't want to give you like loads and loads and loads of stuff, but
Have 2 weeks.
You do have 2 weeks. I would
That's enough
like to
time.
see you start tooling around a little bit and figuring out where you want to spend your time online when you spend it online, as far as like social media marketing.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I really like that idea.
Yeah. So, and I mean, because the thing is like once you go through your ideal customer thing too, you'll be able to see based on this person, this is where they probably are online. And you can go check out and see, okay, actually, there are a bunch of people here that would tick the mark of this is where my ideal customer is. And so maybe I should find myself in the space, whether that's a Facebook group, whether that's just something as generic as, is anybody on Instagram, or are they on Twitter, or are they on LinkedIn, or are they on blah, 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 whatever other things. So
I mean, honestly, I can think of 2 platforms right now that most of my potential clients would be on, and
Which
that
one?
would be Facebook groups
Okay.
and I just had it. Not Twitter. Not really. There's ones on Twitter that would do that, but it's like you really have to hunt for them.
Okay.
But Instagram is a possibility.
Is a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I do a lot of my marketing is Instagram.
Oh,
and
perfect.
Facebook.
Because that is my wheelhouse. Actually, if you would like, did you ever see Haley watching those videos, those webinars? Okay. So
No.
I did a series of Zoom webinars, which, I mean, technically, I guess you could just bum them off of Haley, but I'll send you the link to them.
Okay.
If you would like to watch them. So that would be homework, 4 hours worth of Instagram stuff.
Okay.
But it's just basically optimizing your bio, figuring out how to engage, figuring like different ideas for growth, all that kind of stuff, some strategy stuff. That's more like hands-on action steps versus some of the mindset stuff.
Yes.
Which is helpful too. But I also am doing a big old giant workbook to go with that series that's in the mix right now. I think I'll be done with it by the end of the month. So you'll get a copy of that as well, but that will actually have like journaling stuff included. So it's like, it goes with that content, but you can get more in depth on like how you want to strategize and yada, yada, yada.
I like that idea.
Okay. Does that feel like enough or too much? Like 4
No,
hours
that's great.
videos?
I
You don't
mean,
have to watch mine now, but
yeah, I should be able to at least, start working on it.
yeah. So, because Instagram is definitely my jam. Like, I also like that's the thing that I have the most knowledge of, and have studied like very religiously. But I do. I mean, obviously, I spend time on Facebook and groups and things like that as well. So, and I posted my own groups on there and everything. So, I have an understanding of it. But Instagram definitely. So, okay. So then I'll give you that stuff. Start finding your people online. And sometimes that includes like, what podcasts are they listening to?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, what blogs are they reading? Do they read magazines? Do they read?
Do they read?
Yeah, do they read? Can they read? Anyway, so just starting to figure out where they're at, because that's the start of the places where you will eventually, or kind of want to find your way to working into being yourself. And then your ideal customer question. So I think that should be good. Of course, if there's anything else in the interim, we'll touch base at the least on Sunday, and you can let me know regardless, whether or not that works. Okay. How are you feeling about it all?
Good.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me before I let you go?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No.
you covered a lot. It gives me a lot to think about.
Okay.
And that helps.
Okay.
That helps me grow. And then also having homework to do will
Yeah.
help me focus.
Yes. Okay.
Focus. That's what I need.
Okay, good. I didn't overwhelm you though, did I?
Huh?
It didn't overwhelm you, did I?
No, no. I wrote down like this is like the majority of my notes. I wrote a page and a half, you
Oh,
know.
I totally have you beat. I have way more than that. Okay, cool. Well, I will. So then what I do is after we're done, it'll either be tonight or tomorrow night.
Okay.
We just need to go to bed. But I'm gonna email everything to you, like all my notes out, and then
Okay.
all the links to everything that I talked about so that you can get started on everything. And then the link to this video as well, which you'll have your own special folder. You can access all of the recordings for your sessions.
Oh, cool. I like that idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. I do have a podcast thing tomorrow night that I'm recording. So
Oh, fun.
yeah. So it's
Cool.
regarding, it's not regarding anything soundtrack related. It is about the Modular Man. It's a book. It's a science fiction book by Roger McBride Allen.
Okay.
So
Cool.
kind of touching on like science fiction and how it relates to real world issues. So
That's cool. I like it.
yeah. I've only done 4 episodes of it. So
Yay, okay.
it's short. It's meant to be, you know, like thought provoking and get people thinking about, oh yeah, science fiction is more than just spaceships and laser blasters.
Perfect. Awesome.
Trying to, you know.
Well, yeah, I'll get all this stuff to you and then we'll talk soon.
Okay. Oh, and one last thing. If you like the idea of me doing aliens, you should go back on Cinematic Sound Radio and listen to Eric Woods and I as we talk about Alien.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, all right.
Great. Have a great night.
You too.
All right.
I think I'm going to get some tea now. So.
Okay. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.